How do you feel the 2024-2025 school year went? Obviously, there was a lot of things that happened, but just speaking broadly, how do you think it went?
Overall, I mean, we successfully graduated over, 3,000 students, and another 40,000 went on to go to the next grade level and advance. So overall, it went well. Of course, there's always things when you look back you can do better. Obviously, there were some tragedies that occurred along the way, some things that, that were not as polished as you'd like. But overall, I'd say it was a successful year.
You touched on some of the things that, as you look back, could have gone better. I'm sure we'll touch on some of those in a moment as the interview goes along, but is there something that immediately sticks out to you that you're like, I wish we'd done this and we're now going to work towards making this better in the future should that situation come up?
Oh man, there's so many things. I can't start with just one. I think as an organization committed to continuous improvement, we do the Plan, Do, Study, Act constantly in meetings and look at a variety of things that we could have done better and that we could improve upon moving forward. That's whether it's a testing implementation, whether it's a lesson that's could have been improved upon, whether it was finances, a variety of things. So I'm sure we'll touch on probably some of those coming up. So I won't belabor the issue or give you some things that's gone wrong that you're not going to ask me about. But
fair.
Yeah.
You touched on the 3,000 graduates in the class of 2025.
Yeah.
You had said this is the most college-ready class ever in FCPS history. What makes this group stand out? What made them stand apart? And what does it say about where the district is going and getting kids better prepared for life after Fayette County? Well,
thank you for asking that. I will tell you that's the most exciting part of this job and part of the work we do in general as educators. It's because we're offering more opportunities to kids in general. I mean, we have kids that have graduated this year with more college credits than ever before in history. We've had more kids graduate this year with associate's degrees, while also crossing the stage to get their high school diploma. We've had more kids receive industry recognized certifications, ready to go into the workforce or to advance in the workforce in a field that they're interested in. And we've had more kids than ever decide to go into education in recent history. And so it's just a lot of great things are happening. More scholarships offered than before. And so really, really great things are happening, and our kids are leaving, prepared for their next steps. And they're prepared to excel in a global society, which is part of our mission, which we're very proud of.
And I have to mention as well, this opens the door. When the class of 25 does well, the class of 26 will do hopefully a little bit better because someone has laid the groundwork for them, and then the class of 27 and so on. I have to imagine that is very encouraging that the district is, in theory, going in the right direction.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we continue to look again at every time a graduating class crosses that stage. We want to make sure that the next class is even better, more prepared. Again, an organization committed to continuous improvement really makes a difference. We're human beings. We work with human beings, our students and our teachers and our staff as a whole. So never quite reach perfection, but our only hope and our only goal is to be better today than we were yesterday.
Now let's get into some of the perceived issues of the past school year, and I'd be doing a disservice if I didn't start with what was most recent, the budgetary issue, the occupational tax. The original announcement came over Memorial Day weekend. Some would argue that the district was trying to pull a fast one over FCPS families and the county as a whole. What do you say to that?
Well, we certainly weren't trying to pull a fast one. We always post our agendas on the Friday before the Monday's board meeting. In hindsight, you know better, you do better. I wish that had been handled differently. We were given timelines that we later found out wasn't necessarily, that could have been adjusted. At the time, we did not know that. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad that the board decided to stop, reevaluate, and allow more time, allow more public input. And so I'll fall on the sword for that one. I will tell you, it's something I really want to ensure that we improve upon. I don't ever want our community to feel as if we're trying to pull a fast one, as you said. Mm-hmm. I want our community to realize we want their input. In fact, we had gotten input as early as February of that year and had received quite a few comments. We put out surveys, we did a variety of things, but I'm glad we've extended it. I'm glad we were able to extend it, and I'm looking forward to getting more feedback to see what's best for our community in general to make sure that we fill that gap. And unfortunately, this is something that's happening all around the Commonwealth, around the nation, you know, with the federal funds going away, with inflation at historic records. Things are just costing more dollars to do the same things. And here in Fayette County, we're certainly trying to do more than the basics and give our students a world-class education. And so my commitment is to do better, to get better. And with that sometimes that means saying, we got that one wrong, and now that we have more information, I'm certainly going in the direction to try to rebuild that trust and let our community know that we really do want to hear from you.
There are a couple of points there that I want to expand upon. Let's first talk about repairing that trust.
Yes.
Last week it was announced the budgetary work group that was going to be going on. What do you hope that group ultimately achieves to help FCPS and best find the best solution to raise funding? Because I know that the group is going to be led by someone who is outside of FCPS, but I'm sure there still will be that hand-in-hand communication. So what do you hope they achieve?
Basically, we're opening everything up to say this is what we've done, this is what we have, and to get any ideas that they may have that we hadn't thought of. I've already heard, I've gotten emails and people have reached out and with some ideas, and many ideas are long-term, which we've thought of, many great ideas. But right now we're trying to fix a gap that exists for the coming year. And so really, I'm really open to hearing what other folks have to say and to figuring out exactly where. But mostly, I want the community to see what we have done and let them just know that these are the thoughts we've had. This is how we found ourselves in this situation. And many people, unfortunately, have, there's a lot of misinformation out there about why we find ourselves in this situation, and want people just to know that this is actually a prediction. This is something that's a calculation for a future budget. Our current budget is completely balanced and doing quite well. So there's nothing that's happened now or previously that's impacting what's going to occur in the future as far as spending or something of that sort. So really just ready to show the community and these people on this committee exactly what is happening and how that could be, and get any ideas that they may have.
So you mentioned that there is some misinformation out there. So just to be clear, this $16 million budget gap, or spending gap that's been thrown out there, that does not pertain to this year. This is something that you're saying is a projection for the future if things continue to go the way they are. How does something like that happen?
It's 100% projection. It happens by, federal funding is no longer in place. When we're budgeting for things to come next year, things have cost a whole lot more. I mean, paper, the amount of paper, the contracts that we're signing, our health contract with the health department rose nearly $1 million a year. We have payroll costs are going up. We're able to recruit a lot more experienced teachers, which is obviously what we want. It's really making a huge impact on student outcomes, but it costs money to bring in experienced teachers. And so just little things bit by bit, our insurance cost, our everything is just increased. I mean, just as people in their own personal lives are experiencing the effects of the economy, inflation, et cetera, we're not immune to that as a school system. And so really are just anticipating those costs and making sure that we have the revenue to cover them.
I feel like I know the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. In your opinion, as I'm sure you've seen, a number of people have gone on and done some sleuthing and reporting of their own and investigating of their own and said, oh, there's things that the district doesn't need to spend money on. There was the crank and boom charge that we won't get too thick into the weeds of, but do you feel that the district's money is being 100% spent responsibly and that every dollar that is coming out is going towards the betterment of the district as a whole?
Well, one thing I can tell you is that every dollar that is spent is and should be based off our strategic plan. When I came into the district 4 years ago now, it was a plan that was created with over 20,000 plus stakeholders involved in giving feedback as to where they wanted our district and our community to go. And one of the things I heard loud and clear was that people wanted to feel appreciated. We had no mechanism to recognize staff. And that was something that we implemented. One of our strategic priorities is about a healthy organization that includes ensuring that our people are well taken care of, as well as ensuring that we're financially stable and we're doing things in a healthy manner, if you will, for the organization as a whole. And so I can tell you that every dollar that goes before the board is something that is directly a direct impact of the strategic plan. The Crank and Boone situation was 100% donated funds. And so, I mean, we've put that out there. What the narrative continues to be is unfortunate in many instances, but the truth is out there to be told. But I will tell you, what we're seeing is paying off. What we're seeing is that, our student achievement is going up, opportunity gaps are closing. And in a school system, that is exactly what we look at as, are we getting a return on our investment? At the end of the day, are students better off because of what's happening in the district than they were previously? And the answer is a resounding yes.
And that's the other thing too, is people going through credit card statements of the district through open records requests and seeing like, oh, why is this? Every dollar has a purpose. What would you have to say to those people who are saying like, hey, the district doesn't need to be doing this. They don't need to be spending money on that. What would you respond to them? Because those are some people who have been the loudest recently.
Yeah, well, anyone can ask a question. I think there's a lot of assumptions made. You read something without context, and it's like, well, why are we doing this? Instead of actually asking people who can answer that question, why are we doing this? And everything can be answered justifiably as to and directly linked back to how it's impacting student outcomes. And so we're an open book. People can ask questions. Most times, unfortunately, what I've heard, no one's ever come and said, why is this happening? Could you explain this? And so I'm very confident that we are doing things that are impacting student outcomes. And we'll continue. Again, we're an organization committed to continuous improvement. If someone brings something to me and I cannot justify how that's impacting student outcomes, I certainly would take a very strong look at saying, why are we doing that? Because we shouldn't be doing anything that's not going to ultimately make sure our students are getting better.
My last area of this whole budgetary comment, then we can move on, is it was announced Auditor Ball's office will be conducting a special examination into FCPS that is separate from the usual look-ins and examinations that her office does and that the district does. What would you say is the relationship the district has with Frankfurt? Because obviously Russell Coleman, the Attorney General, also made comments about the occupational tax vote. What would you say is FCPS's relationship with the General Assembly and state law legislatures?
Well, I meet with legislatures regularly. In fact, I'm meeting with some this week. I met with some last week. And so I have a good relationship with them. We talk openly and have conversations, and they ask questions, I ask questions. I'm often advocating for legislation that's going to be helpful to school systems and providing information from my seat as an educational leader in the state as to how it would be helpful or harmful, some of the proposals that come out of there. But we're an open book. I'm more than open for anyone to come in. We welcome the feedback, and really, again, we're committed to continuous improvement. And so if they can find something to tell us we can do better, I'm 100% on board in making sure that happens.
So I would assume you would say it's fair and appropriate is not the correct term, but fair for Auditor Ball's office to conduct a special examination saying that you all are an open book and that what they will find is everything's above board, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm more than open for them to come in and take a look at our books, take a look at our procedures. We invested a few years ago in an internal auditor that looks at things on a constant basis to see, are our procedures most effective? Are they in compliance with best practice? And so, and again, this is an organization full of human beings. And so, are there things that are not perfect? 100%. Are there things that are going to be found? I can't tell you that, but what I certainly can tell you is that every single thing that we do is for the benefit of kids. And so I welcome a fair assessment of how we're conducting business here.
Let's move on to something else. Your contract was renewed this school year.
Yes.
Feels like forever ago, but it was. In the lead up, you had plenty of people voicing their support for you and what you've done for this district. You've had others who have voiced their concerns about you staying for another contract. What does that say about your job? And that there are people who both support and who are against you. Do you feel that you have the support of FCPS families?
Well, I can tell you, as a leader in this community, as a leader of the school system, and any leader when it comes to especially a public school system, anytime you have to make a decision, you're not going to have 100% of people agree with it. That's just the world in which we live in, and that's always how things have been. And so the only thing I can tell people is that every single day I wake up committed to the vision of this organization, and I work every single day to ensure that our kids are achieving and that we're doing things that are going to make a difference in the lives of our students, regardless of where they come from, regardless of what language they speak, regardless of their family background or income. And we're seeing the results. We're seeing student growth, we're seeing opportunity gaps close, and we're seeing the organization as a whole become better. And so I continue to work with anyone that's willing to work with me, and certainly am open to criticism and feedback in whatever forms that may come.
You mentioned before that oftentimes a lot of the people who have criticism simply don't ask why things are being done a certain way. Is there a way you think that could be done that those people who have critiques, or those people who just want to provide constructive feedback and want to see the district succeed because they were an FCPS student or their kids are FCPS students, do you think there's a better way to open those lines of communication a little bit better? Or is there something that could be explored during your next contract session?
Yeah, I'm actually looking at a variety of ways of doing that. We started this year doing community conversations where me and board members would go around town. We went to all high schools this school year just to have communities come in. And that's unlike a board meeting where there's only the board traditionally do not give feedback. These community conversations really provide for dialogue, back and forth, ask questions, give feedback, give comments. And I found those to be useful. I'm sitting down with my team to look at other ways that we can possibly expand upon that. But I do think I also go throughout communications. I speak in, I've spoken in front of Rotary, I've spoken in front of realtors, I've spoken in front of different organizations where there's dialogue just to give updates on the school system and allow for Q&A in those sessions as well. So we'll continue to look at ways to really reach our community as a whole.
And that's a perfect jumping off point to what I wanted to follow up with for you being the face of the second largest school district in the state. And you've kind of already touched on it already, but how important is it going out to not just FCPS hosted events, but other events happening in the city and just being a face where people can just come up, say hello, maybe say something, say, hey, I wish we were doing this more. We wish we were doing that more of that. How important is that?
Very important. I will tell you, one of the greatest things about my job is when I'm able to get out of this building and go, first of all, to be on a campus, really just to be with kids is the highlight of any day. But also going to these community events and being able to interact with people and just have conversations and really learn about them, themselves, their students, their children, their experience. And those stories really I carry with me every single day to make sure that it's a reminder of why I do what I do, why we exist as an organization. And so it's very important, and I enjoy it, and I look forward to continuing doing more of it.
All right, let's shift gears. It's hot outside right now, but boy, oh boy, was it cold and icy and snowy this past winter.
Yes.
And it was a mess is probably not the right word to use, but it was definitely a challenge, overcoming what Mother Nature threw our way. How do you think that whole situation went with all the NTI days and the time missed and the bus routes and something that I don't think anyone could have necessarily planned for given how bad the weather was? How do you think that went?
It was the perfect storm, literally. I mean, it was right after winter break.
Yes.
And so it was, and we couldn't come back to school. I learned quite a bit working with the city. The city has been a great partner. Mayor Gordon and I have a great relationship. And one of the things, there's no way to remove ice from streets. And I did not know that. You can remove snow from streets. Ice cannot be removed from streets. And we never got above freezing. And so it was until we did, you know. And so it was something that just really could not have been avoided. I think the timing couldn't have been worse because students had already been out for 2 weeks on winter break and then another week into that. And I think that was just the perfect storm. And it's Mother Nature. There's not much you can do. It did strengthen our relationship with the city, but again, there's nothing the city could have done differently. I mean, you can't melt ice without really getting above a freezing temperature, and so it was the one and hopefully a one in a lifetime experience or once in a career anyway. But we continue again to look at ways where we can improve through continuous improvement, and we actually did a after study review, and there were several things that we will do differently moving forward, such as Chromebooks, et cetera. But the team worked very diligently and effectively when we realized that it was going to be a while to get Chromebooks in our students' hands. But again, there's no substitute for in-person learning. I'm a strong advocate for in-person learning. I know that's how kids learn best. And so anything that we can do to make sure that that happens is always a priority.
Make sure it happens safely. I know that was a big conversation.
Yes, absolutely.
I know some people were tossing out the idea of alternate bus routes. Some cities explored that option. Is that something that FCPS could be exploring in the future, assuming there isn't a once-in-a-lifetime storm, maybe just a once-every-10-year storm next winter?
Well, I will tell you, one of the things the board just invested in was a routing system, and where our bus drivers will have monitors on their bus, these tablets, in order to see, very similar to how they are in many cars now, to where they can adjust routes and do things of that sort. And so we will continue to look at ways to improve when it comes to winter weather for that purpose.
You touched on it, the relationship with the city got stronger during this time. What are some things, though, that can be improved so that way when there are these severe weather events or things just pop up on the fly that you can't necessarily plan for, where the communication is streamlined between the city, the district, and then to the families as well?
Well, we're having ongoing meetings, which we always had, but the topic is really ensuring that we are communicating for the best of their citizens, our families, our students, and our staff. And so it's just really improved the topics of the agendas that are occurring, and preparing well in advance of anything that may occur.
Well, I want to end in this area. Let's lighten things up a little bit.
Okay.
A few weeks ago, district had dedication ceremonies at 2 new facilities, Mary Burton School and the Hill. I have to imagine seeing these facilities now open, and there have been several over the course of your time here at FCPS. It is a sign of good things to come, despite all the negativity and all the bad things in terms of federal funding, like you're mentioning, and things that could happen to a school district. It's encouraging to know that FCPS students are getting the best education they've ever gotten because of the investments that you and the rest of the district are putting in through facilities like this.
Yeah, I'm so excited about the Hill, the Hub for Innovative Learning and Leadership. It is going to be a game changer, not only in Lexington and Fayette County, but throughout the Commonwealth and this region. It is a place where our students are going to learn things that industry experts are learning. And we also have an advisory board that will be coming in, and community partners that will help those students learn things, and having equipment that is top of the line to where our students will certainly have an advantage when going out to find a job in a field where they've been certified right here in Fayette County Public Schools to go out and be leaders in that field, and have every opportunity that they can in order to explore, grow, and learn. As far as Mary Britton, that was, it just shows the growth that's happening in our community. It shows that we are continuing to grow and offer opportunities for kids. I mean, it's the first school that's having a partnership with directly, it's right next door to the new Baptist Health facility, partnering with them and having a medical facility as part of a middle school. The amount of dual credit, or the amount of high school credits those kids will be able to receive at that campus while still in middle school is historic. And so we're just really proud of the work we're doing. Again, it is making a difference in the lives of our students, which is the sole purpose we exist. And we're making sure that our kids just are competitive in every way they can, whether it's with going to college or whether it's going into the workforce, are just being the best versions of themselves, whatever that may be.
Walking through the hill and seeing it, and I'm sure you felt the same way. I'm like, wow, I wish I had this.
Oh
in
yeah,
high school
absolutely.
Back at that age.
Absolutely. It's something to behold. Many people didn't even realize that it was a school. And in many ways, it's not. I mean, it's because there's many businesses in there. Kids are learning how to be professionals, leaders, and learning skills, hands-on skills that they can use for the rest of their lives. And so, although it is a school, it is also a business, a place where kids can leave and directly go into that, or go into college and expand their knowledge in those fields.
I'm curious, is there a mold that, is it just as simple as, hey, we have this idea, let's do it, or is there something that is out there? Maybe you're picking one idea from this district in this state, or one idea from this district in this other part of the state, that you're like, this is what we can add to Fayette County and take it from here to here. Because it seems like the ideas keep coming out, and each one, in theory, will help continue to grow and give the kids, like you're mentioning, the opportunity to succeed in whatever field they choose. Where do these ideas come from?
I will tell you, they come from us getting outside of Fayette County and going to different places and learning and seeing and growing and taking the best of this idea, the best of this idea, the best of that idea, and bringing it together to do what's going to work for Fayette County schools and put us a step above. And so I will tell you, we are part of the Council of Greater City Schools, which is a system that's dedicated to the largest school systems in the nation and getting ideas from that. We're a member of a global education network, which involves going to different places and actually different countries that do things differently and taking the best ideas from there. We have teachers that go to different schools and principals around the state and the nation to really get a good sense of what's going to make Fayette County stand out above the rest, and taking those ideas, elevating them so that we can always do it a bit better, and then giving our kids that opportunity to ultimately be successful as a result of all of those learning experiences and things that we're bringing back to this community.
I know I said I wanted to end on a happy note, and we will, but there is one thing that probably worth asking. Looking at all this, looking at where the district is going, are there things that you are foreseeing that could be immense challenges to this growth and to what you all hope and strive to achieve every single day? We were touching on a couple of things already. Is there something for you, though, that's like, this is the biggest concern and we need to act now when you talk to members of the FCPS family?
Our biggest concern, I will say, as far as our growth, is the birth rate is lowered. That's happening around the nation, around the Commonwealth, and also here in Lexington. And so as we plan out for the future, obviously kids are our business. And so if the birth rate is going down, that means we're going to have less kids coming into our system. And so we need to plan well in advance as looking at our facilities plan, and ensuring that we are mean and lean, if you will, and anticipating the amount of kids we receive. I anticipate where our growth is statistically flatlined right now, although there is a bit of growth each year. Statistically, it's flat, but that will eventually stop and potentially decline. And so we need to make sure that we're planning today for when that is occurring. Of course, we have people still moving into our community, but there's just less kids being born. And so that is something that we do have to anticipate.
All right, let's end on a happy note. Let's do a little rapid fire, if you're okay with that.
Okay, let's do it.
Summer is here. What's on your summer reading list?
Oh my, that's a great question. I just reread, it's a old, but one of my classics, the Good to Great by Jim Collins. And a lot of it I realized is a bit, it probably should be updated a bit more. I finished reading the Let Them Theory, which is a very exciting book to read. I try to do a personal book during the summer, and so I'm reading Black Boy by William Wright, and but that's all I have so far. So yeah.
I'm sure as time goes on, you'll find more books.
Oh, of course,
read.
yeah.
Beach or pool?
I'm not really an outside person,
Okay.
so so I would much rather
Air conditioning.
an air conditioned, yeah. So with a good book.
4th of July around the corner. Hot dogs or hamburgers?
Ooh, that's a. Can I choose both?
Hey, I'm going to do the same thing.
Yeah, maybe hamburger first, but still gonna have a hot dog.
Okay.
Yeah.
I respect that.
Yeah.
Staying along the food topic, old school ice cream truck comes around, but you can only get one thing from the truck. What are you picking?
Ooh, I'm a plain vanilla type guy. I just like vanilla ice cream. In fact, my favorite is I don't know if that's even considered Dairy Queen's ice cream, with that unique. But ice cream truck, probably just a nice vanilla cone.
I can get behind that.
Yeah,
I agree
yeah.
with that. Maybe a little ice cream sandwich as well.
Oh, I'll do that. Yeah, absolutely.
Any place you want to travel with the family during summer? I know you're busy. You're doing all this stuff, but any place you want to go?
Yeah, summer's actually quite busy. I usually don't travel during the summer. I wait until early fall to do so. But yeah, of course, we're busy planning for the next year now. So no big summer plans.
And that is a perfect last point. I think people don't necessarily understand is while kids are out of school and teachers might not be in the building, but you all here at central office are very, very busy. Can you take us a little bit behind the scenes and tell us what exactly goes on and what you all are doing when everyone else is off campus?
Oh yeah, we're getting curricular supplies in. We're planning for the scope and sequence of next year when it talks about the what's actually going to be tested, what's going to be taught. Lots of hiring going on. It's a natural. Lots of people are retiring, and so you have a lot of hiring taking place for the coming school year, and you're just constantly looking at what's going to be best for kids. You know, you have this group of kids that are now maybe with third graders going to be fourth graders, looking at their data and saying, where do we need to intervene from day one to make sure those kids are successful? And so that's happening at every single grade level, looking at individual kids to see what needs they may have, registering new kids that are coming into the district. And so the list just goes on and on. I often tell people the great thing about summer is of all the things that happen, I don't have to worry about getting a call about something happening on a campus per se. There still are some things happening on campuses as well, but that's less of a likelihood that actually occurs during the school year, which is our biggest priority to ensure that our campuses are safe and productive. And so it really is a lot of planning so that when our teachers get back and when our kids get back, we are ready to go. And so we try to take a lot off of our teachers' hands so they can enjoy their summer, and they can come back and we can hand them some things to say, now you're ready to prepare for your kids.
Anything else I didn't ask you'd like to add?
No, I appreciate the time. We're going to continue to do everything we can to improve and to grow and to make sure that our students get every opportunity that's available to them. And so making FCPS stand out among all other districts.